The person asking this question clearly had already seen many of my YouTube videos, and especially also the video on depression. So in that way I have to try to say something new, because his question is, how can I transmute the feeling of depression? And I thought that was an interesting choice of words, actually. I mean, in that class on depression, I explained that, we have to see that negative identification is really just a waste of time and never is going to bring anything positive. If you think you're a loser, you will be a loser. I also explain how to get out of, let's say, more deep depression by building up discipline gradually. So that is definitely part of the answer, and how purification of the body is required, and how maybe in deeper depression also one has to analyze where it is coming from. Because very often if people go into real deep depression, there is some cause maybe in other people also, maybe in parents or partners or something. Some people really put them down and gave them such a low self-esteem that somehow they cannot believe in themselves and remain depressed. But so all these things, the person who asked this question, he already has heard it, has worked with it, but still somehow he feels to ask this question, how can I transmute the feeling of depression? And the word transmute there is particularly interesting because it comes from alchemy, where we transmute, let's say, a relatively worthless substance like lead into gold. So actually what he is asking is, how can I transmute the shitty feeling of depression into gold? And I thought that was interesting. Somehow or other he cannot get rid of it, let's say. At least that's how I interpret his question. And so instead of saying, okay, step out of it, or gradually step out of it, I thought it's interesting to see that there's also a way to work with it without actually leaving it. So there the answer is actually that whenever this feeling comes, we have to take it as a signal that somehow or other, and there may be many ways to do this, we have to counter it every time, maybe 1,000 times in a day, with the divine, in whichever way that works for us. But let's say one of the most direct ways and most simple ways is to stop thinking. So that negative feeling comes, immediately to hold the mind and try from this silence to come to peace and maybe a little smile, and then move on with life until that negative identification again pops up somehow. Again some negative thought comes, again we stop thinking and try to hold that until we come to this smile. Okay, this is only going to work for people who already know how to stop thinking, So, but then an alternative might be to stop breath. Whenever a negative thought comes like that, you don't attack it. You let it be. Because anyhow is also a feeling, It's not just a thought. It's a thought coming from a feeling. But so then you stop breath. And in doing so, anyhow, you will slow down mind and you will not add to it. No? That's the whole thing. No? You don't add to it. So many ways to do this actually. If you are already into mantra meditation, then of course whenever that feeling comes, it's the best excuse to use your mantra. No? And go Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, whatever mantra it is, until somehow that like dies out and you move on with life. Again the feeling comes, again Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Or maybe just Om, no? I actually do that quite a lot. No, sometimes in life we have some things which are hard to digest. It'll take a while maybe, no? To get over something. And so then that something, that subject, has this tendency to come to mind quite a lot. So how do we deal with that? Well, for example, just it comes, and whether outside or inside, I just say Om, and after that keep my mind silent until it smiles again. You know? It's a perfect way. It's a perfect excuse, you know. And so, okay, then whatever works, no? Whatever works to bring the silence, to bring the divine, to stop that game. And so then, yeah, let's say shit can really be turned into gold, because, okay, the more shit you have, the more mantra you'll have, the more Om you'll have, the more holding of the breath you'll have, the more whatever it is you are doing in response to it you will have. And in that way, it can become a power. And ultimately, of course, this power will make it go away. That's also his question. He doesn't want to stay with it forever. But without, let's say, going directly against it. You don't think about it, you don't, try to push it away. Let it be. The divine can't stand that shit. That negative feeling. It can remain, that screen which is unstained by whatever happens in the movie. So let that feeling be, but add to it the feeling of the self somehow or other. This then very much depends on what you can do, what works for you, what you have been working with. And if there isn't so much that you've been working with, I suggest you start doing that. Really take one of these things, and whenever that negative feeling again pops up, throw it at it.